let's get on to Together. Together, the film that like last week Sean and I were, yeah, so Sean and
Yeah,
I
go
were
on.
talking about we're talking about movies last week. I was talking about horror movies, and you were surprised I went to see Weapons. And I was saying like the problem is that the films with intriguing premises seem to be the horror movies. Like Weapons had a very
Mm,
very
yeah,
intriguing premise,
yeah.
and this film I was like I don't want to watch this film. I was telling my wife, I was telling her the whole way. I was like I don't want to watch this film, but the premise is it's kind of an interesting premise. And the idea behind it is that you have this couple that you meet at the beginning of the film, played by Dave Franco and Alison Brie, and they're a long term couple. They've been together for a while. They are leaving where they it's like a city. I don't think it's ever mentioned, but it's kind of like looks like New York. Like they're in New York, and then they're going to go and they're going to move to somewhere in the. They're going to move to somewhere that's a bit more countryside, and but you have all these things like when they're at the leaving do they're matching in their outfits and everything like that and all, and you get this idea that they're long-term relationship, they're beginning to rely on each other a bit more and all that kind of stuff. They end up moving to this place, and then through things stuff happens that means that they start essentially their bodies start melding towards each other. There's this like yes Holly, you are right to want to throw up. There is this, and so there's just this like irresistible attraction that sort of draws them towards each other, and that means that they're going to end up becoming more and more one person. And it's supposed to be like, I think a sort of metaphor, like the metaphor about people in long-term relationships and how more and more they kind of like become one person, everything like that, but done in a very kind of David Cronenberg way. I did not enjoy watching this film, and as somebody who has avoided like a lot of sort of like David Cronenberg movies and everything like that, because I just think that's just a little bit yucky. That's just a little bit, ugh. And I did not enjoy watching this film because throughout this film, I was kind of like watching the film, like, and they take a while to sort of build the relationship, explain the people, give the characters backstories and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just sitting down there going, no, just look, we know they're gonna get melted. Just get over it, get it over with. And I'm watching the film, just kind of like going, "Get it over with. We know what's gonna happen. Get it over with, and then I can go home." So, so I'm thinking that this film might not have been made for me. I feel like there's some bits of it that are a bit clever, but I feel like there's a bits where I would almost have been happier if in this film they had just had this whole thing where they started getting attracted to each other and everything like that without having to create a folklore or without having to create a reason as to why it happens. But they spent a large part of this film explaining why this phenomenon happens. But if that is why that phenomenon happens, it just creates a whole bunch of other questions. There is one character that I believe is played by Damon Herriman, and that character, there's so many questions that I have. I'm like, wait, but if that happened, then what about it's just there's just a lot of what abouts that come up because of this character and all that. I think Dave Franco and Alison Brie, they are actually married in real life. They're married in real life, so they are believably like they're believable as a long-term couple. There's all these things that come up and everything like that because they have this sort of codependent relationship where he can't drive, so she has to drive him everywhere. She can't cook, so he has to do all the cooking and all that kind of stuff. And then, and then where the film ends up in this kind of like, wait, what? And I feel like it's done for sort of almost sort of shock value, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for me with what has happened before that. But having said that, everything I have to say about this film is couched with the term that I found the central premise of this film icky as hell. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah, it does.
found
The trailer was like,
Yeah, we were
you
like,
know,
no.
I haven't even seen the trailer. I've only seen the posters. There's the posters of them kissing, and there's a poster of one with their eyes like close to each
I
other.
go,
Yeah, eyes up with the eyelashes sort of like sort of reaching for each other and like entangling. And I found that icky as hell. And I spent the whole film with feeling like something was crawling on my skin
oh,
as I was watching it, just kind of going, no, oh my god, no. And because to be honest with you, they're actually kind of quite reserved with the body melding stuff. They're quite reserved with it, but you spend the whole film
oh,
worried that it's about to happen. Every time they come into a room with each other, you're like, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh my god. And I was watching this film with a hoodie on, and I had the hoodie pulled down over my face as much as I could so that I could cover my eyes at any point. And after watching this film, Now, if you are okay with all the body horror David Cronenberg stuff that he did, like if you're okay with The Fly, if you're okay with that one with James Woods where he turns into a VHS tape, like Videodrome or something like that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yes, Holly, that's a film.
What?
That that is a film.
And
That,
you mock me for my bad shark films. I
oh no,
feel this needs to be noted.
no, I have never watched this film. I just know about it.
Yeah.
I have never watched this film because I cannot
That
handle
makes
the
avalanche sharks seem sensible.
I
Just
cannot
saying.
I cannot handle the idea of a man's stomach being turned into a VHS player, and it's like that might be where they got the idea for Teletubbies from. Never mind, but but yeah, if you're okay with those, then you might be okay with this. But all I can say is, but for me as somebody who doesn't particularly like that kind of stuff, I kind of wish I'd never watched this film because there's some images in my head now that I need to get rid of. And so, but all in all, if I think about it, it's a high 3. It's a very well made
Right,
film,
okay,
and I
yeah.
I feel like
That's generous.
I feel like all the icky is it's almost a 4, and I think the only reason I won't give it a 4 is because of my built-in ick factor to the to the central purpose of this film. It's like so. Yeah, everything is well made, and I feel like the reaction I'm having to the film is the reaction that the filmmakers want me to have to this film. So I think, well, fair play, but I'm not watching it again. Ever again. Keep it far, far away from me. Like they should have stayed far apart from each other. I wanted this film to stay far away from me as possible. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So 3 stars for Together, and can we please not talk about that again? So